The show must go on. The Jasper Community Arts are still having shows at the Performance Center and at the Astra, and we're going to talk about that with Kyle Rupert, who's the Executive Director of the Jasper City Arts. And Kyle, we've had some great shows. Some shows have been kind of, some have been moved to other times. We'll talk about that as we go. But you have another show coming up February 19th that you have tickets for.
Yes, Gina Chavez, a phenomenal artist, incredibly talented, based in Austin, Texas. She is a 12-time Austin Music Award winner, was selected as Artist of the Year in Austin recently, was a 2020 Latin Grammy nominee. I mean, her career trajectory is just on the rise right now, and we're so fortunate that we were able to secure a performance by Gina, and we're very excited to have her at the Astra. She's an indie pop rock artist that blends her Latin upbringing with her American roots, and tells that story in both languages, English and Spanish, of what her upbringing has been like. She's a strong proponent of LGBTQ rights and having lived that life as well, or living that. I mean, that's part of who she is too, and just a really good advocate for that community. So we're very thrilled to have this incredibly talented artist, like I say, come and share her story through her music, growing up in Texas and living in Texas. And it's going to be an energetic show, high energy, a lot of fun. We're just very much looking forward to it.
And really, the Astra is a nice setting for that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just ideal. It just fits real well.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that connection between the Astra and Jasper Community Arts.
Sure. Well, the Astra Theater was wonderfully restored thanks to the efforts by a nonprofit group called The Next Act. And Jasper Community Arts, as part of the city of Jasper, had been in communication with that group from the outset, along with others who are interested in preserving that venue for the community. And that has evolved today to where we communicate on programming, what their plans are, because they do their own programming. It's their venue. And then we're fortunate enough as the city to be able to rent that venue from them on occasion for our own programming. And it's a nice space for us because it sits right in the middle capacity-wise from the Jasper Arts Center's Full House, which is 675 seats, and our Backstage series, which can only accommodate 140 people. So it's a nice middle ground. And then you mentioned, the energy of the venue, the vibe of the venue. It allows us to bring in artists that, we could fill that venue and really have a fun time with it, whereas it may only be half the house at the Arts Center. And that definitely, as an audience member, that definitely can change, and an artist can change the whole energy of a show if it's half a house versus a full house, and the types of things that we bring in. So it's really been, I think, a boon for us to be able to explore and really push the envelope with some different artists where in the past we may have said, well, that's not really going to fit with our venue.
Now, if someone wants tickets for Gina Chavez or tickets for any of the shows coming up,
yes.
What's the best way to get them? Is it the best call? Is it go online? And some shows I know are sold out.
Yeah.
So like all the Backstage is sold out.
The Backstage is sold out right now. The best way to get tickets is to go to our website, jasperarts.org/tickets. There you can see information on all the upcoming shows, purchase tickets there online, get a nice printout in your email. That has all the information that you'll need. That's the best way. Honestly, we do sell tickets over the phone. You can come to the 10 Clark Cultural Center during our open hours and buy tickets in person. You can get tickets at the door. Most people we find don't purchase tickets at the door. They get them in advance, but you can do that as well.
Okay, and there's tickets available for the Gina Chavez show.
Yes,
Okay.
There are some tickets available for that still.
Okay, and this is the February 19th, then you have another show March 5th, then you have another show March 19th. They just kind of worked out, and then in April, another show. So there's still shows that you can go to. A couple of those are sold out, though, or at least one of those because it's a Backstage.
Our Backstage shows are sold out right now, which typically happens. It's a more limited seating, so those fill up rather quickly. So we're very excited about those artists coming. The artists are excited to be playing shows again. And then we do have tickets available for our 2 Astra shows. And then we have another main show in April that we have tickets for too.
And really, it looks like now is on the decline, so we should be good for continuing with shows.
Yeah.
However, there were some shows that were canceled, one of which you refunded, but the Small Glories got rescheduled, but that might be different for people because it goes all the way to August.
Yeah, so with every show has been a little bit different in terms of, do we postpone it, do we just cancel it? In every case, we try to honor our commitment to the artists. We liked them enough to bring them in. Just because COVID happened, I don't think should mean that we don't necessarily try to bring them in as part of our season. So like you mentioned with Reduced Shakespeare Company, that show was canceled, we refunded the money. They're being included in our next season. And a lot of that has to do with availability. So if their availability only fell within our season, then that just makes sense to include them. With the Small Glories, which was our third backstage show, or would have been our third backstage show, that their availability only had them able to come to Jasper at a time that's outside of our normal season. And so with that, we just postponed it. We honor everyone's tickets. It's a smaller setting, so it's fewer ticket holders that we have to work with. And that show is set for August 12th, which is a Friday. And then everybody who had tickets to that show should have been notified via letter that explained the situation. We're going to honor their tickets. If they would rather not come at this point, then they can let us know and we'll happily refund those tickets for them. And then that show will not be part of our season. So when the season guide comes out in May or June, that show won't be listed in there because it's not part of the next season.
You're talking about the next new season.
The new season that we're planning
still part
right
of this
now.
old season.
It's still, well, it's its own thing now. It's like an independent one-off show. But it's because it's a backstage, because it's two artists, we felt like we could add that onto our plate and have that show move forward. So we're excited to be able to do that. It's not with some shows, like if Mark Wills had to have been canceled and had some different availability, that would have been more difficult for us to have moved forward with. So we're glad with those shows, those bigger shows we've been able to have happen. And the smaller ones like Small Glories, we're able to, pop it in and just have it be a one-off thing.
Yeah, so really it's exciting to be able to go to shows again. Yeah. And, all the shows, bring the mask, assume you're going to have to wear a mask at this point, but you may get there and you may say, well, things have relaxed a little bit, you don't necessarily need to. But always, the policy should be if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask.
Sure.
Even 2 years from now, we may find people still are doing that.
Yeah, who knows?
And that's fine. That's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, and we're looking at that. I look at it every day. I see where things are. I try to look at where things are trending, get information from a lot of different sources, and we have a metric that we've been following since August that helps us guide whether or not they are required. And of course, being a city department, we are following whatever the rule the city has is. But like you said, hopefully by the time we get to these next set of shows, things have come down enough to where we can move to a more relaxed environment. We had a taste of that back in November with Luca's show, which was great, and hopefully we'll get back to that point.
And right now you are working on next year's set of performers.
Yes.
So that hasn't been decided, but it has been kind of being worked on a little bit.
It has, and it's been more interesting this time around because for a lot of presenters, we kind of have to wait and see, well, like, does this Collision of Rhythm we just had, well, if that show doesn't happen, do they get postponed into next season? And then what does that do? So it's difficult to move forward with any new shows while we're still waiting to see whether these other shows happen. So now that we're further into the season and things are coming down, and hopefully staying down, we feel more comfortable. Like, okay, we can sign these contracts, we can make these offers, and we can plan the next season.
Okay, and so the next show that there's tickets available for is Gina Chavez, February 19th at the Astra. Buy the tickets online or call the Art Center to find out more information.
Yes.
All right. Kyle, thank you very much. Anything else you'd like to add?
Just, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, Bill, and looking forward to getting back to more shows and more audience members and more gatherings, and hope we'll get there. It'll happen.
We are on the way.
Yes.
Make art part of your life by being part of what happens with the Jasper Community Arts. Our guest has been Kyle Rupert. Thank you for watching 18 WJTS. We are local people watching local people.